Okay, one of the gentlemen last month said do a pepper mill, and I don't see him here. So I will be doing a pepper grinder. This is one Cindy made. It's one of the very first things she made, which we don't put pepper on stuff at home. She has, but I don't. So I change it to a salt mill. And the salt mill has a ceramic mechanism, stainless steel screws, and the rod, the shaft it goes through is anodized aluminum. And it says S on the top. So if you put salt in the pepper mechanism, it will destroy this in a few months, just because you know how caustic salt is. So we have our piece of wood, and you need to make a base piece and a top piece. Now I prefer the crush grind where they don't have the knob on the top. There's a different procedure to make those, but we're going to do the standard one today. We have 3 different drill bits we need, 1 5/8, 1 1/4 to fit this in, but above this you can make it as big as the wood allows if you want. When I do a pepper grinder, I try and make it hollow bigger just because they don't have to refill it so many times.
What's a crush grinder?
I'll show you here. Crush grind mechanism. So this is the crush grind mechanism. It will do salt or pepper, and you have to, you've got a 1 3/4 inch hole, and then a 1 1/2 inch, and then you have to do a 7/8 hole. And these mechanisms are made to fit metric. It's 39 millimeters for this. So they tell you to do a 1 1/2, and I always widen the hole slightly so this thing goes in there. If you're just using a 1 1/2, they tell you to cut off all these tabs that are around here and epoxy it into place. And the same thing at the top. 7/8, this is really hard to get into. They tell you cut these little tabs off and these little flanges. So at the bottom you have to I cut a groove up in there. There's a special tool for that, and this piece fits up in that groove. And I also epoxy them in place because I had one in the top and this thing was just spinning in there. So it wouldn't grind. So I had to work a bunch of glue up through the hole down inside and then flip it and let it run down and lock all those in the groove that's up inside there. So that's a different demonstration though. The crush grind gives you a little more leeway on your shape because there's nothing on the top, and you could make it anything you want, which you can do with the regular one. You're just going to have a knob on the top though. And they also make a crush grind mechanism that's only this tall. You don't have this rod up here.
But you can cut that rod to any length.
What's that?
You can cut the rod to any length.
Yeah, and this is available. This is the 10-inch size, and they make a 18-inch size too. So you could see how those fit in on the crush grind. Now the regular ones we have, this is a 6-inch kit because that's 6 inch long, and that's an 8-inch. And I've got these little short ones like that for that, but you can cut these as long or as short as you want them too. Now Craft Supply and Woodcraft and Penn State, they sell the 10-inch kits and the 12-inch kits. Chef Specialties, they sell completed pepper mills also, but they sell all the parts. I buy these kits from Chef Specialties, and the crush grind, I get those from Packard Woodworks. I do not like the mechanisms that Woodcraft sells. To me, they're a piece of crap.
Like very cheap, you know, like that.
Yeah, I don't like those at all. I never get them at Woodcraft. If somebody gives them to me, I pass them on to somebody else. But Chef Specialties, they even have 18, 24, 36 inch. If you want to do a big 36 inch restaurant type one, they have the rods for them.
About Penn State, have you had much luck with them?
Yeah, their stuff is good. But
Where did you say you got the crush grind from?
Packard Woodworks up in North Carolina.
Yeah, that's where I got mine.
So my buddy Herbie, who passed away a couple years ago, used to make a lot of pepper mills, and he would always measure them. And when he put them together, he almost never had to cut this off. And I like to do what the wood says and shows to take advantage of the grain in the wood and things like that. So I usually have to cut these down, and then we put them in a vise, cut it off to length, and then you need to take a hammer and peen this over because there's a little flange here which fits inside this bottom square, keep it from coming off. You just cut it off, this thing is just going to slide off. So let's get turning. And we'll pass this one around, you can see the whole thing. It does turn, but there's a little nickel plate which needs to be attached to the cap, and that's what drives it because there's a square hole in that.
This would be perfect for the library.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we can do all kinds of stuff. Okay, I have a piece of wood, could find some safety glasses.
Yeah.
Which is the better one?
The better way. Well, I prefer the crush grinder.
Make a small one there.
The Chef Specialties is made in the USA and has a lifetime warranty. Herbie used to say, it's got a lifetime warranty on the mechanism, my life. He died, so warranty is expired. Not gonna wash it out too much. Just using a shallow spindle roughing gouge. A little closer. Everybody smell it yet?
I do.
What size length you start with?
What's what?
What size length, like the smallest length you start with?
Oh, that's a good question. Usually they tell you to start with 3-inch square, or whatever length you need. So if you're doing a 12-inch pepper mill, you'll want like 12.5 inches long. But like I make a lot of pepper mills out of spectre ply, and I've been ordering the 9-inch wide slabs that are 40 inches long, and they come every 1/4 inch size. And 3 inches, it's going to be a waste because your pepper mill is never that. So I've been ordering the 2 3/4 inch ones. So it can be, that little one that's going around, you can see how small that is.
Yeah, okay.
On this,
depending on the mechanism
that
you get.
style of mechanism, the hole you have to drill is 1 5/8. So it needs to be
At least 2 inches.
at least 2 inches.
Okay.
Because I've seen them that were that big around, barely bigger than 1 5/8, and this tall, real tall, skinny one with a knob on the top.
Then you don't put any pepper instead.
Yeah.
The fun in that.
Okay, now if you're doing
Yeah, so it's cedar wood.
a shape like this where it's flush up and down, all your holes need to be accurate to the outside. So every one I make, I drill the holes, leaving this a little big, and then I recenter it on the holes and recut the hole outside. So as you're going, don't get overzealous and turn too much on the outside. You're just getting it round. We're doing a tenon on one end. I always used to do tenon on both ends, but usually your hole tracks off and it's not true. So if you already do a tenon there, you're going to have to recut that anyway. So I just do one end. Usually the top, my tenon will be up here. So I'll pass out around this magazine. It shows, this is from 2021. It'll show the crush grind with the shape like that. And this mill here with kind of a teardrop ball top. When you're fitting one like that, where it overhangs over the base, you don't have to be as accurate. You can have a little play when it's going around. But one like this, if the hole inside is not true to the outside, when you do that, you're going to have an overhang. It'll go that way, it'll be flushed, and you do that, and there's going to be an overhang. This one is totally smooth no matter where you put
Can you
it.
explain that again? I don't understand what you just said.
The hole inside. I'm going to be doing it, so
Okay.
you'll see that. The hole inside needs to be true to the outside. You'll see when I drill the holes, this is going to be off and wobbling. So,
Okay.
yeah, and these here, you got a little flange, and it can be off a little bit. There is salt in that, so if you're doing that, don't throw it over your shoulder, because that's just a,
Is it pink salt?
Yes.
yeah.
You don't want to go peppermill out of camphor.
Okay, now I'm going to do a tenon on the top. And if you're doing one where it's going to be smooth all the way down, I like to use where the grain is absolutely straight, kind of like a box, but it does curve at an angle here and here. Okay, now we put it in the chuck.
You're using camphor, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't you smell it?
And you really don't want to make a peppermill out of camphor. 'Cause it'll make
Season
it
it.
taste funny,
Yeah, it'll season your salt.
right? Correct?
Yeah.
Or
This is
seed.
just for a demo.
Yeah, I know, but even somebody might do it and not think about it, you know?
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Cedar's the same way.
Yeah. But he's saying don't go all the way around, but then because.
Okay, now I want to true up this end so it's true when I drill my hole. If this end is slanted like it is, and you put the bit on it, it's going to jump around a little, so we don't want that. I really like this Mahoney. The spindle gouge on one end and a bowl gouge on the other. Really nice tool. Okay, I have a pilot hole in the center.
From the nose drive, right?
Yeah, from the live center.
Live center. Sorry.
Now, this is a half-horse motor on this lathe, so That's why I chose camphor, it's a softer wood, so we'll see how the drilling goes with this.
Probably drill
You
it.
drill the big hole first.
Yeah, always start with the big hole first. And it needs to be at least a 1/2 inch deep with this finished surface. You want to come in with a spindle gouge and cut this really clean. I've got one I cut in half and passed around. That was spalted magnolia, and the parting tool just shredded that up. So you're going to have to come in and remove a bunch to get a clean surface on there. So my top will be somewhere up in this area. Now when we drill, this piece is going to be in about a 1/2 inch, and then we drill through up to about here and stop, and then we're going to spin this around and drill it down from here with that 1 1/4, or 1 1/16. Always get the stuff out of your way when you're drilling. Yeah, and these yellow bits, Jim turned me on to these. They're Yanico. They're carbide. They have a carbide blade there, and these suckers cut good. The only bad thing about them is the shaft is 10 millimeter, not 3/8 like everything else. So it does not fit into the extensions. But these are good bits. They're like 16 bucks.
How do you deal with a deeper,
What?
how do you deal with a deeper hole then?
Use the regular bits. Well, I'm actually going to put those on the lathe and grind that down so it fits into the extensions.
They actually sell 10 millimeter extensions.
Yeah,
I have had this problem before.
I've looked and looked, and I finally found one, and that extension 4 inches long was 35 bucks.
No.
Yeah, it's the only one I found. A 10 millimeter shaft would fit inside there.
Call me, I'll make it.
Well, I'm just going to grind the shaft down on these, and I'll fit in all my extensions. So I like to get this close. Start really slow so it starts tracking right. Okay, this is not drilling well because it's underpowered, the lathe. But I do have a starting ridge here. So now I'll switch over to the smaller one and take out some of the center, and then when you go back with the bigger one, it will drill nicer. You can see the drill bit's wobbling a little bit. That means the hole is tracking off a little. This drill bit will be really hot when it comes out.
So grab it, right?
We're at the end of the spindle here. We need to move it in.
Is that different more than 1/2 inch? You're just going in as far as you can go? Oh, the other one is a 1/2 inch, right? The other bit is a 1/2 inch.
Well, it's 1 1/2, or 1 5/8.
No, deep.
Oh, 1/2 inch deep, yeah.
But this one you want it to go all the way,
Well, up to this line, if that's going to be my part.
how do you
Well,
know when you're up
everybody
to-
needs a bigger, powerful lathe.
How do you know when you're up to that line? You just measure it from the outside?
Well, that's a good point. You should measure. Like if I know I want to stop here, I'll look on there and I'm just a little bit past to where that ridge is. So that will tell me that. That's why the tape's on here. I usually
Okay.
put it up and
So
measure.
you have a pre-mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lee, I was taught to, when you're drilling a hole, you go back and forth like the way you would on a drill press, so you're regularly clearing your chips, right?
Yeah.
Compacting them.
But when you're drilling like this, don't do any more than 5 cranks. 6 cranks if it's going well, especially on wet wood. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then clear it. 1, 2. And if the chips are just pouring out like you just started, you can do more. But if it's wet wood, it's going to start grabbing the bit. So only do 3 or 4 and then clear it out.
Right, I was taught to frequently. With,
Yeah.
even more than
I
once.
watched my kids.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now back to the larger bit.
Hot?
Should I pass that around?
Yes.
Yeah, please. Just don't throw it at me. I won't catch it.
Okay, so if I look at 1/2 inch from the cutting edge, it's right to the back of this drill bit. So on this one, that's got to be the crush grind. You're doing a bigger hole. This is 1 5/8 inch. The crush grind, it's 1 3/4, and you need to go 3/4 inch deep because it has that knob on the bottom. And I've drilled them before and put it together, and I had to cut more off the bottom to clean it up. And then I set the pepper mill down, and it's wobbling because it's sitting on that black knob, that gray knob.
That's the adjuster.
And you can't get that mechanism back out of
But it
the
has to be very exacting, right? Like if you're saying.
Well, if it's too deep, you just in there further.
Yeah.
But it has to be at least a 1/2 inch.
So it could be a little bit more than a 1/2 inch, but not
Right.
less than a 1/2 inch.
Right.
Well, it can be. If that pepper mill around here? Yeah. Because you got these 2 screws here that the heads stick up, and this is the salt mechanism. So, and there's just under an 1/8 inch from the top of the screw to,
But you want it to be
Big.
underneath because you're saying that it'll sit.
yeah, you just want it deep enough that the screws are not going to hit.
But the crush grind doesn't have the screws.
No, it did, but
That's
it has
one of the
that big gray
advantages.
knob on the bottom.
Right.
And that needs to be at least 3/4 deep. See, now that's still drilling hard. So I want to actually take my square nose scraper and go in and take it to depth with the square nose scraper. You can also use a parting tool. Just remember, scrapers, you want the tool high with it level like the bed of the lathe. At dead center or slightly above. That's still a little low. And scrapers like speed. You guys ready in the front row? And if you're doing a long one like this, there's been times I put the steady rest on with the rollerblade wheels to hold it while I'm doing something else. Like on the crush grind, if I forget to cut that little groove up inside that the mechanism snaps into, I'll have to remount it, and I've done them and had it done and sanded, and I went, oh, I forgot to do that. So I'll put my little chuck inside and expand it and put the steady rest on to hold the wheel so I can go in there and cut that notch or make it deeper.
What's the tool that you use for that now? One that you made?
This one, you can buy these, but the ones you buy have a big notch like this, that goes on the bottom. And then they just have a little line ground into it that you have to pay attention to do the one for the lid. So I'm just gonna take a scraper and make it myself. It took me a half hour grinding to do this, but this works really well. This is made by Crown, and yeah, you got the mechanism right there.
At what length would you put the steady rest on? If it's more than 10 inches, 12 inches?
Well, it depends. If I'm doing everything right, and I have a good tenon on the chuck, and because with that tool, all I'm doing is going in and then just going like that. It takes about 3 seconds. I just lock that bottom of the groove on the piece here and then just tip it in like that. And it's nothing. But if you're too low, it's going to grab and tear that thing out of the chuck. All right, now I'll take the square nose scraper and just go straight in, deep in my hole. Because I'm not quite at a ½ inch. That still looks a little low. If you're way too high, it just won't cut right. You won't get a catch. If you're just under center, catches and dig-ins.
You're making the hole bigger or deeper?
Well, I was doing from the big drill bit. I didn't just want to keep going. I just wanted to show you can use other tool. I could come in with this parting tool and do the same thing. But that square nose scraper works a little better. I just want to measure to make sure I'm ½ inch deep. Yeah, it's exactly right there. But have I finished this bottom surface? Because this you want done. But I can also do that when I go back and put this between centers on the hole.
So you want to be a little deeper than ½ inch?
Yeah, just slightly.
Cut again.
This isn't really torn up from the parting tool. That Magnolia, it was shredded. I mean, I had to cut an 1/8 inch off to get it cut clean. So knowing that, I would make the hole a little deeper. See, like this, I could just come in and go. Just made it a little deeper. Now, if you make it too deep, it's harder to drill your little holes in there. Okay, that's how you take them out.
That's why the crush grind's so nice, because you don't have to drill those little holes.
Yeah, but you got other things you got to do on the crush grind.
Yep.
See, now I shouldn't have taken that out yet because you need to part this off. Okay, so let's measure how deep we are. Right up to about there, which is fine because we're going to cut it off and then drill through this side because you just have to.
What size are you going to drill from the front?
Well, 1 1/4.
1
But on the crush grind, I use 1 1/2. So I have to drill 1 3/4 and then 1 1/2, about 2 inches deep for the mechanism. But I just keep going with it. Unless I'm doing one like in that magazine that comes in really narrow. I'll do a 1 1/2 inch hole all the way up and 1 1/2. I just have to make a bigger tenon where it fits together.
It's just volume for the,
Yeah, more volume.
for the pepper or the salt.
Right. get a round piece for the bottom. Anybody see my live center?
Yeah.
Where? I like this style of live center, and they used to be like 20 bucks in the catalog, because this is just so much better than this one. It fits in different size holes, and it just holds better. Okay,
So now, how much are they?
I don't know. Probably 23 bucks.
You can get a PW wood with the tailstop, or with the,
Yeah.
yeah.
So right now my hole is this deep in here, and if I make this the lid, and the lid doesn't have to be that tall, it can be ½ inch tall if you want. It just, it's got to be strong enough when people crank the knob down. So I'm splitting it here. I'm going to take this off, clean it up, and then I need to drill a hole up into here, which is the next size bigger than ½ inch. Because our shaft has got corners on. This is only 1/4 by 1/4 or a little less. And you have to have a little bigger hole so the corners of this can fit in here and spin. So I have the next size bigger than,
5/16 or,
well, you can use 5/16. It's way big. I mean, Herbie used to do it all the time with 5/16. But any bigger than that, then the knob starts
wobbles.
fitting down inside. I like it to fit properly, just so it's not too sloppy.
You ever try putting a square hole?
No.
No need?
No need to. You got a little metal nickel that you're going to screw on there. I'm going in, left, right, widening the hole.
Can you explain why you're doing that?
What's that, Madam President?
Explain why you're going left, right, left, right.
Well, I need to widen the hole so the wood isn't grabbing my tool. Plus it helps the tool not get so hot. Okay, I'm almost there. I'm going to remove this. You never want to cut that off completely with the tailstock on, because it wedges in there sideways. Ray Ryland did that. It took the tool out of his hand, stuck it in the wall of his garage across the room. Okay, so that's done for the moment. Now, since this is already in here, I want to drill my hole through there. And clean up my little nub first. Do a little pilot center punch hole. Okay, now this little nickel piece, they say drill a 5/8 or 7/8 hole. You can just put it on there. We're going to drill the smaller hole there, but I want to get this piece fitting in there so it doesn't move around. If you're just trying to set it on top and drill the holes, you're off a little, and that can cause this to rub inside the wood. It just puts extra stress on the parts, and the mechanism doesn't work as smooth as it can. Now these are stamped out with the punch press, so they kind of have jagged edges on there, and we took and put these on the lathe and just touched the parting tool here and cleaned them all up. So they go right in the 7/8 hole. Had a whole pile of them, we just did them one at a time. Onto a piece of wood, stuck that in the hole, trim it down, and it just takes a lot less work. You don't drop parts
Is it one of the sawdust?
in the hiding my Jacobs. And remember, always drill the biggest hole first.
This is 7/8, right?
Yeah, it's 7/8. And it doesn't have to be deep. Just enough to keep that little piece from moving around. Herbie would be doing that, and he would just get a little overboard, and he was drawing them like a 1/4 inch deep, so you're sticking it way down in this hole. And I said, Herbie, it only has to be that deep. See, that fits right in the hole, and there's no movement to it.
But you don't glue it or anything?
No, it's got 2 screws that you put it in. Now we want to take our small drill bit.
Are we boring you? Jerry, are you bored?
Was that Jerry?
I don't get much sleep anymore, unfortunately.
Remember, start slow so the drill bit tracks straight. Get things out of the way, we don't need to do that. And you don't want the speed too high for drilling. See, this is soft wood, so it will clean out quickly, or drill quickly. On soft wood, you can do that. See, it went all the way through.
And that's just slightly larger than the rod that you're gonna put in.
Yeah, because the rod goes right through there. And it's tight enough, if you do a 5/16, to me, it's way too loose. But
What did you use, bigger than a 1/4?
it's the next size bigger than a 1/4 inch.
Do you measure in 30 seconds then?
I don't know, it might be something 30 seconds.
Or it comes in a set?
You can use 2 drill bits bigger than a 1/4 inch. 2 drill bit size. Just slightly bigger than a 1/4. Okay, so
30 seconds.
the 9:30 seconds.
1764.
Peanut gallery.
All right, now we'll go back to our base piece. And usually I would put a tenon on there, but all we're doing is drilling a straight hole in here. And again, see, there's still a flat spot. I haven't cut the outside down to near where it's going to be, because that will create some problems.
Wouldn't it be better to expand from the inside to make sure it's centered on the hole?
Yeah, you can do that too. But I do that sometimes. I use this little chuck and put it on the inside and expand. Pretty good. Remember, this jaw will make marks on the wood, especially a softer wood like this. At least it didn't squeal.
No lubricated.
I have some pigskin that I use, and I'll just wrap it around it so the jaws don't make a mark.
Yeah. I'm going to do a little pilot hole in the center first. So if you're putting a long drill bit on there, they'll flex over sometimes. If your drill bit's a little dull, if it's not centered perfectly straight or if it, the grain in the wood can force it over. Okay, back to our 1 1/16. But we'll use this other drill bit. These drill bits are special ones out of the magazines and they cut really, really well. So,
That's specific sample of the
yeah,
upper back.
and I really like how these cut. They go really fast, and you can take a wrench and just pop that, and this comes off, and you can add all the extensions you want. I have an extension like that on there. But if you're drilling the 36-inch pepper mill, you need a long extension.
You got a long bed.
Yeah, a long bed lathe too.
Oh, you need to go.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you want to think
Remember, start it slow. I gotta go down about an inch.
All the way through, right?
What's that?
All the way through.
Well, all the way to where the other hole stops.
Stop. So that they leave.
Yeah.
Right, because it's,
You'll feel it punch through. Okay, there we go. Now there's going to be a round piece of wood inside there that we have to get out. And when it was on the other side, before I turned it around, I like to sand the inside in reverse. That way you get all the little burrs off, because you don't want pepper or wood falling down through and getting ground up into somebody's thing. I'm going to put it in reverse. This is just a stick with the saw cut down. You can take sandpaper in there. Works really well.
Safer than a finger.
Yeah, don't stick anything in there that you don't mind getting broke. Yeah, and I like to come over and round over this little edge too. Okay, now my holes are done. So I want to take a jam chuck, and they do sell them already made to fit the parts, supposedly. So that one doesn't fit that one.
I got a set of rubber chucks
See, that
that you
one,
can adjust
yeah.
to different sizes.
And this one fits the 1 1/16, but I make them out of wood. It's just real easy to do.
what's the name of that chuck? I know we've talked about it before. Because I think Igor has one, right?
The chuck?
That chuck?
Oh,
This-
You know that chuck?
Squirrel chuck?
That's scroll chuck.
Yeah.
Is that from the brand?
I don't know the brand on this. There's nothing marked on it. This
I don't like
is,
this chucks in the Pinto.
somebody died out here.
Looks like a Nova chuck, maybe.
Could be, but this looks like one-way jaws. So one-way jaws won't fit on a Nova chuck, but maybe a one-way. Now my jam chuck has to be true. my big lathe, it had a rectangular block under there, and I had a piece of steel about that big around, which fit perfect under there, so I put it on my little bitty Shoreline metal lathe and cut the groove, and it just zoom right on. You don't have to mess around and put that back on.
So,
Live center. Okay, so this piece doesn't fit that way, doesn't fit that way, so I can quickly cut this to fit. Now I'm just doing a little taper on it because this is thick and therefore strong enough that it's not going to have enough pressure to crack it open.
So every time you make a pepper mill, you make a new jam chuck?
No, I have them already made.
Oh.
This one I just pulled out of the drawer, and remember, always spin the thing before you turn it on. Doing stuff like that's really effective demonstration. Especially when you're demonstrating at a symposium and there's 200 people in the room.
It all go.
No pressure.
Yeah.
They're usually nice.
Wax on, wax off. Now this is running quite true. Usually it doesn't, usually it's wobbling, so now I have it centered on the holes I drilled. Now I'm cutting the outside down to the hole. How much time we got left?
Whatever you need.
20
It's
minutes?
7:38.
Yeah, 20 minutes.
I understand. I said it now I understand. Now I understand. I wasn't understanding what he was saying. But now I do. Because otherwise it could be,
Oh, it smells good.
You turn the knob.
right.
Still have a little flat spot here. This is the bottom, that's the top.
Takes a minute. Exactly. It's trying my brain, definitely. So this is theoretically where if you wanted to put like ridges or some kind of interesting design or something.
Yes and no.
Oh.
I need to fit this to the lid, and if I'm doing one like this, I'll cut them both together. This will be my jam chuck for the base. And so I'll have to true up this on the holes first and then put it back in the chuck, which we're going to do. But yeah, pretty much you cut it to your finished diameter. I mean, the shapes you can do. You
But
can
that's what I'm
even,
saying, like if you wanted to put like a ridge or
yeah,
some kind of interesting design on the side,
right.
on the lower part of it, this is when you would do it.
Yeah, but you can make one square. You can just cut it off, drill the holes, put it back together. You can use a log with the bark on it. It's a nice straight piece. And that way you cut out as little as you can and it's got bark on the outside. Those usually wear funny and leave debris around. Okay, now this bottom, this is the actual bottom of the mill. I want it undercut ever so slightly. If I didn't do that earlier, I would do that now.
So you're doing that to make sure it sits on the table, right?
Yeah, plus to cut it smoother. It's a little bit rough. I haven't sanded that yet. And at this point, that inside bottom lip would have been sanded. So now the bottom is totally done. Let's say this outside part's pretty much done. This part I would have sanded before when it was still in the chuck to get in here cleaned up nicely. This, I think we need to jam chuck it. And that's the thing about this is I can take the mechanism out, re-jam chuck this up, recut it a little bit, tweak it, refinish it. This was, what, 8 years?
Yeah.
So the finish is getting worn, so it could stand to be sanded and refinished. So I could put it back on here, power sand it really quick. Okay, now I want to cut, this is where the top will sit on. Spindle gouge. And I want to make sure it's undercut slightly.
Top meets nice and flush.
What's that?
So the top meets nice and flush.
Yeah, so when it's together, it fits on the outside. There's no space where you can see. If they were opposite, you'd have an open space there. Okay, there's some crumbs down there. This is that vortex tool that Cindy Drozda made and sells. I could get way in the corner here. This piece of steel cost me less than $3. It's high-speed steel, and I made the handle. So I don't mind hitting this with the point, and I just resharpen it really quick. But I want to clean up the crumbs that I don't want to hit with my spindle gouge. That costs more money. Now at this point, I would make sure this is all sanded.
Would you put a finish on the top or not yet?
No. I don't do finishes on the lathe, or rarely do. I do a pen, I'm doing CA glue, yeah. Or like that can opener thing, it was CA glue. I use a spray gun or spray lacquer mostly. See, now I could put this right on there since it's a little cone, but it's better if there's a little hole inside. So I have other ones I made with that size. It fits right on there. But I can cut one really quick here since that one's on the lathe. Probably too small. Oh, that'll work. So this surface is rough. I want to clean that up. I'll do it from this side first. The outside may wobble. Probably definitely, since that drill bit was tracking off, so this is going to be wobbling a bit.
Not bad.
Not bad, but it is a little bit. Just want to true it up first. Come in with my spindle gouge, cut the underside of the cap. Okay, so this is where this gets sanded now. I would put it in reverse, sand this up. I'm going to recut my tenon so it's true.
Why reverse?
What?
Why would you put it in reverse?
Well, the fibers are laid over at an angle like this. When you run it backwards, the sandpaper hits it, knocks them off better. If you switch it, the first time you sand, do it in reverse. Next time forward, reverse, forward. It sands it faster and cleaner.
If you don't have reverse?
You stand on the other side of the lathe. That don't work.
Good try, Lee.
You buy a better lathe.
Look the leg upside down.
just go ahead and sand it. Okay, so I just trued up my tenon, because we're going back in the chuck with this.
And again, that's to keep everything in alignment with
Yeah.
the top and the bottom.
Now, the crush grind mechanism,
I won't throw it at you.
they say do the 1 1/4 also, because technically that fits in there. But to me, that's a little bit loose, so. I like to do a tenon and just custom fit everything. It just makes for a nicer piece. Because remember, these things we make will be around decades, if not centuries. Make them the best you can.
I think our kids will just throw them away.
Well, they might. They might be proud. Say, hey, my dad and my mom made that.
I know mine will be thrown out. Maybe by the time I get home.
Once we make first two.
And you don't have to do these extra steps, but it does make for a better mill. The parts fit better and they work better for longer.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I got my hole here, 1 1/16. I need to make a tenon that's going to fit inside here. And it only needs to be about 1/8 inch or slightly longer. It doesn't need to be like a 1/2 inch. And remember, these edges get sharp. That made it safe so you won't get cut. Because you can get cut really bad by that jagged, sharp edge. And that's too loose in my book. So I'm going to make the tenon a little bit longer, a little bit larger. One more time.
You taper it a little?
Yeah, I tapered it just to make it better. See, that fits better. So if I line up the green and come in. Now, if I was just doing it totally straight, or that nice curve, or something like this, I could cut these both together. And again, the shape is whatever you make or are able to make. When you're learning, your shapes aren't going to be that great. But you can see with this center going in the hole, it automatically centers it.
You ever do a burn on the thing?
Oh, what?
A wire burn on the thing?
Yeah, you can do anything you want on it. Cut the grooves first, take the wire burner and burn it. I used to do that a lot when I first started turning.
What are you trying to say, Lee?
I've moved on. Now, the seam right there, I like to highlight it with a groove. I think it looks better. And if it's just too fine and one part's off a little, it doesn't look as good. This is nice and even all the way around. But I'm just using the corner of the parting tool. And I could leave it at one groove, or even add another groove from the lid or the base. Or you could do it all the way up and down. You could roll beads all the way up. The outer shape is just the outer shape. It's just the process of getting there that,
Boy, that moved in
yeah.
itself.
And if you do things out of order, it just complicates it. So let's say this shape was done and we're going to sand this all, get it all done. Your camper's pretty wood too, it doesn't just smell good. Just like women, they're not just pretty, they smell good. Right guys?
Exactly.
Whatever you say.
Now I could put this in a chuck, or we'll just do a quick little jam chuck. That's a little loose, so I want to widen that hole up.
Take that lock off.
I used to have a $1 bucket at my studio. Whenever anybody did that, they had to put $1 in. When
You
Joe
can do
would come, he always had $2 in his pocket. And usually he didn't leave it. That way I could buy a new belt. Now, I do have a belt on hand, so. Okay, now I want to do my top. What's that? And I'm just going to cut all this off and shorten it down, just to.
Yeah, we got like 6 minutes.
6 minutes? Now if I cut into the hole, this thing's going to wobble, and all I got to do is just tighten this up as it comes loose. Tighten it, cut a little more. Tighten it, cut a little more. Okay, we need to do a little flat spot up on the top for the knob, the knurl. Okay, now at this point, this whole thing would be sanded. Six minutes.
4
So there we have it. Now, mechanism. You want a tray to hold the parts because when you drop them, they bounce around and you lose them.
in the sawdust.
If anybody needs, I have extra parts. If you lose something, I have 1,000 extra screws. Like they used to supply this with 3/4 inch screws. Down here you need it, but up here 3/8 inch screws are fine. We bought a whole box of stainless ones to go in here. It just makes it so much easier. So okay, this piece goes in first. Just push it down in there. And then we take this piece and it locks onto that piece. And then you have your actual grinder, which fits on your rod first. And your spring is fatter on one end. The big end goes up at the top because it rides right on that. And I like to, well, there's another piece that's supposed to go across here too, which I didn't bring. But right now, we got to cut the rod. So we need to measure my ruler. Here. So I want about 1/4 inch of this sticking up. So I need to cut 1 1/8 inches off my rod. And at this point, I could drill holes and then put the screws in here if I wanted now or later. But you really should drill the holes with like a 1/16 inch drill bit. Camphor and that magnolia, yeah, you could just grind them down in there. But the other part, so we need to cut off 1 1/8 inches. And these are aluminum, so they cut really easy. Just try and cut them straight. Now we need to flange it out. So I want to bring this over closer to the vise. And I'm just going to be hitting it off the sides like that. To mushroom the top of this out a little bit. If you have too much sticking out and you hit it wrong, you're going to bend that rod. And I have all kinds of extra rods if anybody needs it. So then we put the grinder back on and the spring. Let's pretend that piece is on there and the finish is done. See, we got just about 1/4 inch left. Now, I usually coat the inside with shellac and then I'll do lacquer on the rest, but then I wax this whole surface and the side and in here and that surface. I have some brie wax here. I'll just wax those. That way they move really nice and fluid. And there we have a pepper grinder.
Nice job as always.
Always. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Lee.
And now I'd like the crush grind. Where'd that one go?
Right behind you. The other side.
This piece fits on here really tight. And frequently I'll cut these down and you can see that's rounded. I'll just go to the belt sander and round that. But then I wax this portion too, and inside the top rim of the piece. But when I wax this, it goes on and off really easy, because that's just so tough to do that. So,
And you gotta pull down every time you gotta refill it, right? You gotta pull them apart.
yeah, you just pull the top off.
Yeah. So
And when it's waxed, boom, it'll come off. And you can shake it all you want, it won't fall off. Madam President, any last quick questions?